All right, all right, all right, all right. All I could do is laugh. Um, I'm gonna sit here for a moment, man, and just allow you guys to collect your thoughts. I'll wait for some of you guys to come in. Hello, Odessa. Gotta say hello to our lovely lady of Steelers Nation, Odessa in the building. I'm not even gonna do the whole, early commenters thing and all of that, but when I see our lovely ladies pop in, I'm absolutely going to give them their just due. So what's up, guys? Let's let it all soak in for just a moment, and I'm just gonna, recap a couple things. It's not a whole lot to say, guys. Yeah, I think the title says it all. My concern going into this game is exactly what we saw today, offensively. This team has been an up and down team. They have not played complementary football. When the defense plays well, the offense doesn't. When the offense plays pretty well, the defense doesn't. Steelers have squeaked out some close games, have lost some close games, and there you have it, guys. I think the evidence is right there on the wall as far as what this team is and what it's not. But we're going to get into it. Let me let a few more people get up in here, and then we'll get it going. Very curious to see how some of you guys feel about this game. Listen, I told you guys weeks ago that this team is not going to be a playoff deep run team. They're not going to be a Super Bowl team. I told you guys weeks ago that anything they do from this point on, it'll be a surprise. Once they got into the playoffs, did I root for them like crazy tonight? Sure. Am I surprised that they lost? I am not. And I have a question for you guys on Tuesday. I'm going to let y'all know what I'm talking about here in a moment. But I have a real question for you guys on Tuesday. I'm not going to dive all the way into it tonight. But I do have a couple good questions for you guys on Tuesday. And it surrounds, tomorrow. Today is Monday, right? Tomorrow. I'm going to save it for tomorrow. But yeah, I am going to talk about Mike Tomlin here in just a moment. But let's get into it, guys. I think enough of you all are in the chat, so let's get right into it. I'm going to get right to the quick things that I highlighted, right? I told you, I make very minimal notes now, and I just come on the show and I recap it. And welcome to the knee-jerk reaction show, guys. This is the last one, obviously, of the 2025 season. In case you're under a rock, your Pittsburgh Steelers, our Pittsburgh Steelers, lost this football game 30-6, which is an incredible score because the game was 7-6 late in the third quarter. And actually, let me see, the game is final. So let me go to the stats really quick, because I want to say the Texans scored, if not all, the majority of those points happened, in the fourth quarter. All right, so let's get into it. First thing that I notated here is Jack Sawyer gets a strip sack on a flea flicker attempt that was late in the first quarter, and the fumble was caught by Y.A. Black, and the Steelers go 3 and out. Big drop by DK Metcalf on 2nd and 10, and I'm just reading this in sequence as it happened. The Texans take the next drive, 92 yards for the score. Remember, the Steelers were up. They were up 3-0. Jack Sawyer again gets the strip sack on the flea flicker, and it is caught by Y.A. Black. And like I said, the Steelers offense goes 3 and out. It was aided largely by DK Metcalf. What a drop DK Metcalf had on 2nd and 10. Forced the Steelers into 3rd and 10. And as you guys witnessed all night, 3rd and long was not going to be a favorable situation for the Pittsburgh Steelers against that defense, the number 1 defense in the league. We go 3 and out. The Texans take the next drive, 92 yards, and they score. At that point, it's 7-3. Texans ran the ball down the Pittsburgh Steelers' throat on that drive. And then the Steelers go 3 and out right behind that. The next thing I notated here, the next possession, Keanu Benton forces a fumble, and the Steelers get the ball on the Texans' 28-yard line. 28. The Steelers unable to move the ball. They only gained 7 yards. and they have to settle for a field goal. At this point, it is 7-6. The next sequence that I notated, the Texans come out in the second half and they go right down the field again. 3 straight plays, 3 consecutive plays of plus 10 yards. I think one was 16, and one was 14, and the other one was 12 or 13 or whatever. Chunks. All on first down, I might add. On 3rd and 4, Brandon Echols comes up with an interception. One of the only decent things he did all night, because he was getting toasted. Torched and toasted. Christian Kirk ate that boy for breakfast. But he gets the interception in the red zone, and the Steelers start the drive from their own 4-yard line. I was scared of that. Again, because of the defense that the Houston Texans was putting on display. Steelers unable to come up with any points. They missed the pass interference, I felt like, on Calvin Austin with Lassiter. You know, it was plaster coverage, but I do think he kind of grabbed Calvin's shoulder. Hey, missed call. Missed calls happen all the time in the NFL. I'm not going to kick and scream about that. I wish it would have gotten called. Maybe it changes the complexity of, the complexion of the game, because it did, again, it would have been deep in Texans territory, but they didn't make the call. At this point, the Steelers had 3 turnovers and only 3 points to show for it. 3 turnovers and only 3 points to show for it at that point. Forgive me, guys, if there's any Wonder Bread that happened. I don't think it did, because I didn't hear anything. If I miss it, I apologize. I just want to say that because sometimes I miss it. Let me keep going. To start the third quarter, there was a graphic that Troy and Joe put out there. They said at the start of the third quarter, this was on the Steelers' first drive, they said the Steelers had 9 yards off of 10 plays after 2 turnovers. 2. The Steelers defense was able to force a 3-and-out on the Texans at that point. Okay, again, the game is 7-6, guys. It was 7-6 all the way through the fourth quarter. Right after that, this was my next notation here. The Steelers give up 46-yard pass to Christian Kirk on 3rd and 15 to end the third quarter. 3rd and 15. Listen, the defense played as good as they could, I guess, through that third quarter. But again, where the defense is suspect is splash plays. We got a lot of holes in this defense, guys. We do. We're going to need better play in the nickel. We're going to need better play. Remember, Jalen Ramsey was playing in the slot to start off the year, but, we had to move him to safety, right? And I'm not going to even say Jalen Ramsey was the best in the slot. He was helping us at times, but started to play a little better at safety. But there's been some up and down play there. But again, tonight at first watch, it was Echols, the one that was being abused mostly against Christian Kirk. I watched the game again I watched those big plays to determine it, but I think it was Echols. All right, at this point, the Steelers defense has not been good on 3rd down in the game. I wrote that at the end of the third quarter, and that held true. Steelers hold the Texans to a field goal. At that point, it's 10-6. Texans next possession, the Steelers offensive line gets absolutely murdered. Excuse me. I say unalived because, YouTube is, I'm not talking about a person. I'm talking about figuratively. They just get destroyed. Sayamalu destroyed, literally ran over, and the Texans get a scoop and score, and they go up 17-6. And y'all know what else happened after that. A pick six, a late fourth quarter run by Marks. This kid goes for over 100 yards. Even the broadcast was saying that the Texans hadn't ran the ball that great all season. But again, part of what happened in this game is the defense got worn down, man. Let's go to the chat. I did hear Wonder Bread Looks like it is from James Webb. Round of applause, my guy. I appreciate the dono. He says number 73. I will actually call him that. 73, not Siamalu. Needs an office visit. 60 was the best one today. He's a backup. Win the turnover battle, and you still the D outscored our offense. When have you ever seen that, Sim? This was just crazy, man. This was an anemic performance by the offense. I don't even know where else to go, man. I don't even know where else to go. I'm going to say this. And like I said, I'm going to save the deep dive of what I'm about to say for tomorrow. Thank you for the viewership, man. I see a lot of you guys in here tonight. 145 people watching live. So thank you for anybody who's in here and you haven't been here before. Thank you for coming first and foremost. But let's talk a little bit about it's time, guys. Listen, I got questions for you tomorrow. I'm just giving y'all the overview. It's time. And I know some of you guys are going to say, oh, well, we've been saying that. We've been saying that for years. Blah, blah, blah. Listen, me saying it's time, let me explain the reason behind it. It might be different than some of y'all's. Unlike other people, I do think Mike Tomlin is a really good football coach. I might even call him a great football coach. Mike Tomlin's playoff record in the last now 7 straight attempts, it just hasn't been good. It's a results-driven league. I still think Mike Tomlin is a really good football coach, a leader of men. All of the stuff that you hear them say about Mike Vrabel and others, Mike Tomlin is right there. But again, 19 seasons, ladies and gentlemen. 19 seasons. You just saw what happened to John Harbaugh. I told you guys a while back, am I a fan of Mike Tomlin? Yes. Largely. But even I said 19 years is a long time. I am actually open to all changes, any change possible. Listen, Andy Reid had to do it. Hey, Mike Vrabel, he left Tennessee and now it looks like he's going to have a very good playoffs. At least it looks this way in his first year in New England. It's just the business, guys. It does not take away what I feel about Mike Tomlin. Hey, I hope that the Steelers could have gotten a playoff win this year. I didn't believe they were a Super Bowl team. I did not believe they were a deep run team, but I was like, man, can they at least get one? Get that monkey off your back, if you will. But nope. Didn't happen once again. Now, some people are going to say it was all Tomlin's fault. Some people are going to say it was all the offense's fault. Some people are going to say it was Terrell Austin's fault. Some people are going to say it's Arthur Smith's fault. But here's why I say, ladies and gentlemen, whether we like the coach or not, the reason why I say it's time is y'all quote me as saying this a while back. Y'all real ones remember me saying this. It's not my opinion. This is opinion right here. It's not that the man is a bad coach. It's the philosophies in which he believes in wholeheartedly that it's just gone stale. What I mean by philosophies is the offensive coordinators and the style of offense that you want to put on display, right? Arthur Smith is a 12, 13 personnel offensive coordinator, 11 personnel here and there, but he's mostly a tight end, heavy, 12, 13 personnel guy. It was the same guy in Tennessee when he was successful with Derrick Henry and Tannehill. right? You bring that guy in. The offense clicks a little bit. A lot of that has something to do with Aaron Rodgers. A lot of that had something to do with the offensive line getting better throughout the year. But we all can agree when it mattered, the offense couldn't do anything. That was my biggest concern tonight. How are they going to be able to play our style offense against that defense? We don't have no go-tos. We don't have no tricks of the trade. And then on top of that, when you get a couple of them, you get drops. You get DK Metcalf dropping, which I thought might have been one of the biggest momentum changes in the game at that point. So it's the philosophy. It could also be said about the philosophy on defense. Now, did the defense play great for 3 quarters? They did. Did they give up explosion? They did. Were they bad on 3rd down? They were. But the game was 7-6 and heading into the 3rd. Ladies and gentlemen, if an NFL offense can't score 1 touchdown, 1 touchdown changes that game. 6 points. But like I said, where I have to look at Mike Tomlin in that regard, this is the team that you assembled in terms of staff and philosophy. Now, here's the thing. We know the Steelers. We know the Steelers. Do we really think that they're going to do what the Ravens did? I don't know. I'm just saying, guys, at this point, I told you guys I am not married to Mike Tomlin. I'm married to the team. I could still say, hey, I think that man is a really good football coach. I appreciate what he's done for the Steelers in terms of bringing a Super Bowl championship while I've been watching, as well as the same reason why I appreciate Bill Cowher allowed me to see a Super Bowl championship as well as I've been a Steeler fan and watching, because, again, the 70s wasn't my era. So I appreciate both Bill Cowher and Mike Tomlin, even though Bill Cowher went on to have some losing seasons and, stepped away. Mike Tomlin was hot early, had a lot of them 12-4 seasons and disappointment after that. One of my biggest disappointments, I always tell you guys, is the Killer B era. The Jacksonville Jaguars coming into Pittsburgh and winning that game 45-42. Huge disappointment. But here goes philosophy again. I'll get to it in just a moment. We have some Wonder Bread from Force Works. I appreciate that round of applause. Yeah. He says last playoff losses, 30-6, 28-14, 31-17, 42-41, and 46-37. It's not good. Which one was 48-37? I don't even remember that one. Was that the Cleveland one? Not good, ladies and gentlemen. So, again, at this point, listen, there's a couple things that this team needs, man. Like I said, philosophy. We need to be more of a high-powered style offense and catch up to the rest of the league. There's only a handful of teams that can still run it with power, like just run it down your throat. Baltimore Ravens is a team that can do that, but they have a mobile quarterback. You understand what I'm saying? They have a mobile quarterback. They have a rushing attack with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. So you have to respect that. And they load up. They run with a 300-pound fullback. They bring in the beef, and they run it right at you. Not many teams do that. The Steelers are not a bully team. We're just not right now in the run game. Now, we've had some decent run games this season, but they're not the beat up and bully. The offensive line coming around, but we got some weak links. I think many of us probably will feel like Siamalu has been one of the weaker links this season. Zach Frazier, Love what he brings to the table. Dylan Cook stepped up the best he could. This dude is the second backup. Troy Fautanu, welcome to the NFL in a couple of these games. Got spun around a few times tonight. These guys are young. And it's the quarterback position, ladies and gentlemen. No disrespect to Aaron Rodgers, but we've all said this, and there's been a few games this season where he looked his age. Look at the thumbnail I just put up there. I thought that was an interesting graphic, and I had to get a picture of that. A 41-year-old DeMeco Ryans facing off against a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers who's still playing. That's philosophy, ladies and gentlemen. These last playoff games, that we've lost, most of them, quarterback was old. With the exception of the Jacksonville loss, Ben was older, but Ben was still balling that season. Just had no defense. But since then, all of these quarterbacks have not been the guy, or they've been old. Again, philosophy. Always trying to plug and play. The Steelers have not attempted to really rebuild. I get it. You took a shot with Kenny Pickett, but you took a shot in a draft that wasn't deep with quarterbacks. Funny thing is, Brock Purdy has survived. The last man picked in that draft, literally the last guy, the only quarterback still playing significant time and actually playing well. This team needs to start from scratch. Meaning, you've got to find your franchise young quarterback. Is he sitting on the bench right now? Maybe. Are you going to go shoot for one in this upcoming draft? Maybe. We're going to see. But that's what it is, guys. And that's really all I got until tomorrow. But I got questions. I got questions to ask you guys about the idea of Mike Tomlin not being the coach next season. I got some real questions I want to ask you guys tomorrow. I'm not going to get all the way into it. I will sit here and take a few chats. Let me see what you guys got in the chat. Round of applause again to Jay Webb for some more Wonder Bread. I appreciate that. We got beat by a wide receiver 2 that we tried to get. Right, Christian Kirk. Smoked us. And like I said, man, the defense even though we were giving up some big plays, you gotta say they did a good job through 3 quarters. The game was 7-6, but we just gave up too much splash, man. We ended the 3rd quarter with that 46-yard strike to Kirk. Yeah, listen, again, guys, like I said, man, it's at this point, it's time. You know, like I said, it's time. You know, and if the Steelers stick around, you know, and you know, Tomlin stays on, you know, if he stays with the organization until either a contract is not extended or what have you, they really are gonna have to change their philosophy, man. And I just don't have the confidence that they will. But they really got to change the offensive approach. You really have to be a multiple style offense. You have to. You've got to have some counters in your bag. And that's why I wrote the title the way I did. They got completely embarrassed offensively tonight. Got to have some different philosophies, man. I even love what the Texans did, man, on that one strip sack. And I said it to my wife. I said, I don't like Will Anderson being lined up that far. And the way he just got around the edge and able to strip the ball out, and then homeboy just rumbled and bumbles and stumbles his way into the end zone. It was bad, man. And like I said, Aaron Rodgers, they made him look old. And a lot of it wasn't his fault. It's just some of the lack of him being able to get out of the pocket the way he once could. He's 42. Here's the real reason why the older quarterback hurts too. You notice when they came out to start the third quarter, and I think I heard Joe Buck might have said, you see how they got CJ on the move? We can't do a whole lot of that with an older quarterback. Even though Aaron Rodgers can still be a little nifty on his feet, that changes it. You can't even move the pocket like other quarterbacks and other teams can do because of lack of youth, lack of threat of quarterback running the ball. You've seen it already in these playoff games. Herbert has run the ball when he needed to. Drake May has run the ball when he needed to. Bo Nix will run when he needs to. Yeah, man. Let me see what else y'all got. Real quick. Let's see what y'all got. I'm going to spend a few minutes in here. We're at 27 minutes. That's good time. What y'all got? DC says they did one rollout play in the first quarter and didn't anymore. Yeah. And I think that's a combination of Arthur Smith as well as Rodgers. I don't think you can just keep moving the pocket with Rodgers anymore. It's fair. Pokey Metal says there's a reason why Pickens is balling in Dallas and we let him walk for a third. We need QB and just overall different offense. The plays are terrible and just outdated. Need mobile quarterback in the league today. Yeah, man. I mean, you right on it. Tyrone Johnson says it's a young man's game. Yeah. CT Pittman says, I think he will be gone before the draft. Oh, okay, I don't know who you guys are referring to. What else y'all got? Jesse George, what up, Jesse? He says, we have 12 draft picks coming up for the draft in Pittsburgh. I want to see 2 receivers taken in those first 5 picks, okay? And I'm planning to go to that draft, by the way. Walter Worthy says, I try to be positive. Kudos to Mr. Porter Jr. Hey, well, what do you know? Joey Porter Jr. played a pretty solid game tonight. And listen, shout outs to Joey Porter Jr., man. I'll give him some maybe tomorrow or later on in this quote unquote off season on these shows. But, he's going to finish the season as maybe one of the top rated corners in the league, because before coming into this game, they had him and James Pierre as 1 and 2 in terms of touchdowns not being allowed. So Light Skin Jesus says, we have to go through the growing pains of building a good team. It feels like we are trying to cut corners. Absolutely. And that's the thing, guys. The truth of the matter is, again, we all have our opinions about the head coach. But the truth of the matter, what my man Light Skin Jesus just said, that is the real problem. Honestly. It's like Tomlin has been too good for his own good. Because, again, y'all will disagree, but because of how good of a coach he is, the Steelers are always in the middle of the road. They sneak into the playoffs somehow when they have no business being there. And most of these years, yes, the Jacksonville year, they should have been there. They were one of the best offenses in the league. They was 13-3 that year, which I still will say they were 14-2 because Jesse James caught it. But some of those other years, they had no business getting in no playoffs. They weren't going to beat nobody when they got there. Not one team that we played that we think we were better than. Realistically. You might have felt like you was better than Jacksonville, but remember how scared y'all was because of how good that defense was? And Ben went out there and torched them for 42 points. But they scored 45. The Cleveland game, we probably felt like we should win that one. Snap goes over Pouncey's head and all hell breaks loose. But the rest of them playoff games, the Ravens game and the Chiefs and the Bills or whoever else we played. I think we played the Bills twice in them last. We didn't think we was winning them games. At least I didn't. But that has been the problem. Again, put the blame wherever you want to put it. Like I said, after 19 years, it's probably time as far as Pittsburgh. I'm all for hitting the button and starting over and starting this new journey because, again, I just don't think, unless we're able to get the uber talented guys that can perform under the Tomlin philosophies, I think this is kind of the same thing you're going to see. Unless they hit on a young franchise quarterback. This is going to be the problem. They're always going to be the 10-7. Every now and then they might hit 11-6. They're always going to be that. Sneak out a division title somehow. Because again, contrary to what some of you believe, the coach is that good to do that. Just the playoff success just has been horrible since 2016. So it's time for something new, man. It's again, I like Mike Tomlin. I'm going to keep saying that. I want you guys to be very clear on my position because I don't care whether you agree with me or not. I like Mike Tomlin. I think Mike Tomlin is an outstanding football coach in totality. It just has not been good for the Pittsburgh Steelers for 7 straight playoff appearances. And at this point, hey, let's just start over. You got to start with something fresh, a fresh vision, even if they lose, which I think it's likely that could happen. That the next coach will take them a few seasons to even get there, and then maybe he turns it around. Maybe we find a Dan Campbell. Just talk about Dan Campbell's first 4 seasons. Maybe. But I think the growing pains are going to have to happen. I just don't think it's going to be a win now mentality. Like I said, I got questions for y'all tomorrow. I don't want to go deep into it, but I'm really going to ask y'all some questions about if we got to say if Mike Tomlin is no longer the head coach after this season. But that's what it is, man. That's what it is. And like I said, I wouldn't hold my breath on you guys that would like him to be fired because it's just like the steal away, and I know everybody is looking down the street at Baltimore, but again, the Steelers just have not fired head coaches. I know you guys hate the argument, but even, with John Harbaugh, you could say John Harbaugh has underachieved with the talent that he's had the last 6-7 seasons. John Harbaugh also has 2 losing seasons in that, 8, 9, 10-year span. So it's not a direct comparison. It's gonna be up to the Rooneys if they want to go young, man. It's just that simple. Again, you can say it till you're blue in the face, but it's gonna be up to the Rooney family what they want to do. So I don't know, man. And I'm with my man, Mr. Whittingham. How you doing tonight, sir? Yeah, you can't be afraid of change, guys. So I'm open to it. I'm just not, and in case you guys are wondering, some of you guys might be new. Let me check again, man. It was quite a few of you guys watching the show, man. I got a big turnout here tonight. So I'm sure there's probably some new people to the channel. 181 live viewers. Thank y'all for coming by. I know some of you guys might be feeling like, why are you not spazzing out and saying fire this, fire that? It's just because I don't believe that our organization, them right there, well, this way, that logo, I don't believe that logo fires people. Look how long it took for us to even see a Matt Canada get fired, right? And that was an offensive coordinator. That's not the head man. So I'm with you guys. I'm open for change. It does not affect any opinion I have on who Mike Tomlin is as a coach. I am open for this to be the Philadelphia Eagles Andy Reid moment. I just do not believe the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to do that. I will allow it to be a surprise. And we'll see. All right, a few more minutes. What else y'all got? And again, I'm only going to entertain, guys, what we think the Steelers are going to do. All of the stuff about firing Tomlin and trading him, I just don't think. I have no belief in them doing that, the organization. So if it happens, then we'll talk. Cree811 says, need a new OC, Rams or Packers or 49ers OC. Definitely need a new offensive coordinator, man, because again, if Tomlin's philosophy is not to have that wide open offense, again, you look at Fiedner, you look at Canada, and you look at Arthur Smith, even though I might say Arthur Smith has been better point total wise, but it's still kind of bleh, third down was absolutely horrendous tonight for the Steelers, defensively and offensively. It just, yeah, I'm with Jesse George. The whole philosophy is just stuck in the 90s, it feels like. Yeah, and that's my point. So that's my exact distinction between those who just say, oh, he sucks, he's a bad coach. No, I don't think at the core that Tomlin is a bad coach. I just think he lives and dies by his philosophies. He fully believes that his philosophies can work, and they're just not working. They're just not working. All right, what else y'all got, man? Literally 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. I won't go past 40 minutes. And I'll be back tomorrow. For anybody that's here new, listen, I do this every week. Obviously, I won't be doing these post-game shows, but at Terrible Towel Tuesday, it's right there in the corner of the screen. Every week. That's a live show as well, and I have people call in on Discord to give their thoughts. 8 p.m. Eastern time. I'll be back tomorrow. Derek Moore says, Arthur Smith just calls what's on his play sheet, not what the defense presents. Okay? Jay said, my guy, Mr. Winningham says, talent-wise, we're just a step slow. Yeah, I could agree with that. Hip Hopotamus says, I think we'll be the same exact spot this time next year, Sim. Yeah, very possible, man. Because we could be looking at a rookie quarterback next season. And, we could very well still be Tomlin. CM Riley says, it's like at what point, like he changed his thoughts on his offensive philosophy, but he got to go. Yeah, I'm with you. Light Skin Jesus says, I think if Tomlin had a fire D coordinator and an O coordinator to complement his motivation factor. Yeah. And so people often ask me, do I think the Steelers can still win with a Mike Tomlin? I think so, but it's gotta be, you gotta have the right everything. You know what I'm saying? You would have to have the right talent at quarterback, the right, defensive guy. Like, again, I know our defense played pretty well, guys, but we're older in the secondary. Joey Porter Jr. has shown himself this season. Y'all know I took his name early, but that was because, the penalties. But he is a solid cornerback. He's gotten it together over the last second half of the season, right? Everybody else, though, in the secondary, even Jalen Ramsey, we're just a bit behind. Echols tonight was just getting torched. It didn't. Okay, I'll give y'all this example. Did y'all see how them boys was flying around for the Texans? Everybody. Our secondary ain't like that. They ain't playing like Petrie. They not playing like Lassiter was out there scrappy. And clearly Stingley Jr. was handling his business because we weren't even fooling with him. We weren't even going in his direction. They got 2 dogs on the edge. kind of sound like Pittsburgh, right? Except for the secondary. And again, you don't always get lightning in a bottle like that, but the Texans built that team with youth. That's what I'm saying. Now, the Steelers got talent. The Steelers got some young talent that's going to be all right. Your Herbicks of the world is going to be all right. Derek Harmons of the world will be all right. Even Benton showing up a little bit. Benton's just not the best against the run. They're going to be all right. Joy Porter Jr., they're going to be all right, but we still need some solid safeties. We still are going to need somebody that we can trust in the nickel. TJ Watt, getting up there in age. You're going to need somebody else. So like I said, you got Highsmith and Herbig. So we got some pieces, but we're just not, we won't flying around like that. That was a real defense. And again, might be philosophy. You see how some different ways they was lining up. Like sometimes they had 5 across on the second level. Like what were they doing? There were times where they had 5 dudes on the second level just lined up in a straight line, just throwing stuff at you. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm going to read this last one. Hippopotamus says, Sim, I fully believe that Tomlin and Khan got all these older vets because they honestly know the coaching isn't there. Why else would you need that many older players? Did he want them to do his job? That's a tricky one right there, man, because, I mean, you hire the coaching staff, so get rid of the coaches. All right, last one. What's this? I think this is Carissa Lemire. Am I saying that correct? It says, if Tomlin goes, Hayward retires, and Watt sounds off about maybe wanting out, they might as well go for a young quarterback and they like and kind of do a real quick mini build. Easier said than done. I know. Yeah, they have to do that, though. And what's up, Debbie? I see Debbie in the chat as well. Hello, Debbie. Always saying hello to our lovely ladies. They're going to have to do that, man. Listen, I know I'm preaching to the choir here when I say if Tomlin stays, they're going to have to make changes, but they keep saying that and we don't see it. There has to be a splash. There has to be a splash. An offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. Has to be. There has to be a splash. Now, again, Terrell Austin's job, his job is over tonight. It expires. I think Arthur Smith is still under contract. I think he had a 3-year contract. But it's got to be a splash somewhere. Offensively, we're just not getting it done enough. It's too basic. It has not been good when it mattered. Every time we faced a stout defense, we kind of shut down a little bit. The Ravens shut us down in the first half. Cleveland shut us down, right? And I think seeing how we played against Cleveland kind of gave you a precursor of what you was going to see tonight. Texans clearly shut us down. We don't have enough offensive firepower, not even just talent, but approach. So there's going to have to be a splash somewhere. So there you have it, man. It's going to have to be a splash somewhere, and I don't know where it is. But again, come back tomorrow, guys. Come back tomorrow, and I will talk further about Mike Tomlin, and I got some real questions to ask you guys, like seriously. If he were to not be the coach, got some questions to ask y'all. But all right, man, I appreciate y'all coming in tonight. Hey, the season is over, and now we get to move forward. Tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern time, guys. 8 p.m. Eastern time. The Discord will be open for you guys to chime in. And, hey, let's watch some more football. I'm still a football fan. I'm going to be very interested in seeing that Houston Texans game. That's going to be nice. But outside of that, man, y'all know the routine, man. If you came by here tonight and if you're new or if you've been here for a while and you like the content, hit that like button. If you really like the content, I would consider subscribing to the channel. Outside of that, y'all be safe. Y'all stay healthy. God bless. Good night. Like always, I thank each and every one of y'all for tuning in. Catch you in the next one. Well, in this case, tomorrow. Peace.